Alright guys, the next modification we're going to be doing on this Hobie Outback is the installation of the Scotty Lake Troller Downrigger. Lake Troller is a great little unit, nothing fancy, but you're able to get down where the fish are. We use these things a lot of times for kokanee, rainbow trout, brown trout. Allows you to get down to that controlled depth. So I'll even run these in the wintertime too. A lot of times in wintertime, fish come up towards the surface, but we want to be at a precise depth, whether it's 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, and this allows us to get down there and really know where those fish are at and get on them. So in order to install these, the Scotty comes with this little post mount on here, and that's going to slip into the Scotty flush deck mounting bracket number 244. I've had several of these Hobie Outbacks over the years, and I've run a number of different configurations and locations, and what I found that works best for me is to run it off my right hand side. That way I have the downrigger at close proximity. I can reach it really easy. I'm not leaning behind me and throwing off my balance. I'm not trying to strain and get it towards the front of the boat. I've got my rod holder right here, so it makes for a real efficient setup. So with that, we're going to go ahead and do this install. It's a pretty quick one. It does involve cutting a hole that's about 1.5 inches, 1 3/8 inches actually. So it always is a little nervous doing that. But we're going to run through making a quick template out of the cardboard that comes with your package, and just go for it and drill it. Be right. Okay, so we've got our Scotty 244 out of our package. Package to the side, and it'll come with this rubber cap on here. For our use, that's just going to hang us up a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and remove that cap, throw that one to the side, and then we are ready to lay out our holes to get this thing drilled in. So what I like to do is flip over the bracket itself, and for this Outback I like to have the center of the hole, the center of the main hole, about 4 inches back from the front of this gear tray right here. So most things I eyeball, but this one I do like to have this one pretty accurate. So we're going to go ahead, line that guy up right about at that 4-inch mark to the center line. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Once we have that right about where we want it, we're going to take our Sharpie, and we're going to take our Sharpie into each of the screw holes, square it up, mark your 4 holes, okay, now we're going to remove our bracket, and now what we're going to do is get a straight edge, and we're just going to connect our dots. So we're going to go crossways. It's going to form an X. The center line of that X is where we're going to drill our pilot hole for our hole saw. So we're going to double check, center it up, make sure it looks about right. That's where it's going to be. Take our downrigger just to make sure we're happy with that. You can drop it into place. See if that works for you. Make sure you got enough clearance from the seat, from the front, from your paddle keeper. I'm happy with that. So we're going to drill. And we will go ahead and dry fit our mount. Looks good. Now that we have our flush mount dropped into place, we can go ahead and just bust through for all of our screw mounting holes. Clean off your extra plastic. Save all that plastic too. That can be handy for plastic welding the holes that you didn't mean to make. And then, again, make sure things are nice and clean. Make sure you got a good edge on there. Since there's no rubber gasket, what we're going to do is use a little bit of marine grade goop on this one. We're just going to do a nice little seal around the hole and around each screw hole now. All right, install your screws, washers, and lock nuts from the back side. All right, guys, we have installed our Scotty 244. When installing it, you may have noticed that there's a little arrow pointed inboard. What I do on these is I reverse that. So I'm actually pointing out with the arrow. And that kind of comes from when you install it on the transom of a boat or something, or on the gunnels of a boat. But it's got a little tab down in there, and that tab lines up with this tab on that Scotty post mount. If this was lined up inboard, as I said to do it, the tab would be in the front, and then you have to insert your downrigger with the boom going across the seat every time. Not a fun way to do it, so I reverse it out. Arrow goes outward, inboard, outward, and that way the tabs can drop right in. Drop in that downrigger, rotate the quarter turn forward, and drop it into place. And we're set to go. All right, guys, and with that, tonight's project is done. So again, to recap, we've got the Scotty Lake Troller downrigger installed here off of the starboard side. That's mounted up to the Scotty flush mount number 244 bracket, and combined with our junior rod tubes up here, what we've got is a nice, clean way to do some trolling. Just going to do a quick overview on what downrigger trolling is. A lot of guys aren't familiar with it. We don't use it in a lot of parts of the country, but out here, deep water or controlled depth, it's a very effective way to do it. So with the kayak, we don't have to run the big 8-pound, 10-pound downrigger balls. This is a 3-pound downrigger ball right here, which is what I typically run. The lake trollers come with a stainless steel cable installed onto it, and you get a lot more blowback with that. So if you swap out that stainless cable, go to about an 80 or 100-pound braided line. It's a much smaller diameter, and it's going to let you get by with running one of these smaller weights on here. Along with a smaller diameter, you're also not going to have to listen to the humming sound of the stainless running through the water, which can drive you mad. So with that, our rod's on our front rod holder here. We've got our clip attached to the downrigger. Simply process of clipping your line in, letting your line off the downrigger, releasing your drag on the reel, and that's going to take your whole presentation down to where the fish are at. And so what we'll do is we're going to go next on the water, and we're going to actually put this into motion so you guys can see it in action.